Hey everybody, Dominic Fonte Associates. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that we're running into a lot, which is what, Zev?
Whenever something happens and a property's selling, you have your deed and the title company's looking at it to make sure that they can give the new buyer, the proper deed, proper clear title.
Like, what do you mean?
We've had some issues.
So what do you mean? Like, husband and wife, or
Yeah.
let's say mom and dad, or somebody...
So I know we talked about this a lot and we've ran into this issue. So a lot of times if you're a couple, you're married, whatever the case may be, and you buy a property together, you do something called a joint survivorship. And in English, what that means is if, God forbid, something happens to one or the other, the remaining interest that that party own goes to the surviving spouse. And if you don't have that, you involve something called probate and just a lot more steps, and it's hard enough time to begin with without having to deal with all that.
So Dom, what would you recommend for people that are watching that don't know if they have an updated deed, a survivorship deed? What should they do, you think?
Well, what you were saying, dealing with probate down the line or something like that, it's always wise to get educated ahead of time and figure out a plan, even though that may be down the road 20 years. Talking to an attorney or figuring out a trust or figuring out how the property gets handled should something devastating happen to you or your spouse really helps just with your peace of mind and the long-term planning of what happens with the property and how it transfers.
As we become older and trying to plan properly for our loved ones, and I find that, if something happens to, like saving with me or my wife, the survivorship deed or a trust or something like that's very important. So, you don't want to have to do it and react. You want to respond. So I think it's really important to have a conversation. And if you want to start with just one of these gentlemen here and just ask them, they're not attorneys, but they surely can give you some good guidance with all their experience to point you in the right direction. And, that's probably, in my opinion, I think the biggest thing I'm seeing is through the seasons of change, you don't want to be reactive, you want to be responsive, so you want to be prepared. So you want to be informed, and it's important to communicate with a professional. They'll give you some guidance and help you communicate with an attorney or whoever you need to talk to be well prepared as the seasons of change happen in your life. Thanks for tuning in.